Hello. So, this piece is the 6 Days in Paris bike race. The Parisian Velodrome bike racing in the Velodrome de Javier. It's kind of what I've captured from it. It's a kind of like a Wells Fargo arena type of situation where they hold multiple events in this building. And it was by Henri Cartier-Bresson, and it was made in 1957, and it's untitled because it was unpublished, but it's basically just in a series of multiple pictures of the 6 Days in Paris race. And I don't know why Henri was there and why he decided to take pictures, but he was, and here we are. So let's get started with the compositional analysis. I want to start off with asymmetrical balance. So when we look at this picture, we are noticing this guy over here, and then we are noticing all of these guys over here. So let's go ahead and divide that up like this here. I'd do a different color. Maybe we could do a pink. I like pink. Divide that up here, and I think it's good because it's right in between his midsection and right next to this guy's head. So it's kind of a very good division of what we got going on here. And then as for the division of the frame, as I said, we've got a lot of people over here that are kind of taking up majority of the weight visually, and then we've got this one little guy here who's just kind of chilling there, and I feel like that kind of makes it more heavier on one side because we got more subjects on one side than the other. And so as for the asymmetry, that's kind of leading to the asymmetry and then the division of frame. I don't really see a rule of thirds in here. Otherwise, I feel like it would be more definitive if there was a rule of thirds. Now I want to go to ambiguous space and layered space. So when we think ambiguous space, we're talking about how we can change things in a different perception and how they can become something different. So like when we look at this picture, if these guys weren't here, like all of these guys weren't here, then we could flip this upside down and it would look like this guy is kind of just levitating there. And I feel like that is because the angle that this picture was taken at was very purposeful and was brought on by the way that the track is, because we have this road right here and then this wall right here. Sorry, it's erasing my line, but this wall right here, it's at an angle, so it makes it seem like this guy is sitting there kind of just chilling. But let's go to narrow and / wide depth of field. So for this one, I feel as if because this was transferred into Procreate, it's a little bit different. But on the picture that I originally brought, there was a lot of this guy. You could see a lot of his face, and you could still kind of see right here. You could see a lot of his face, and you could see his eyeballs, and you can really make out a good sense of his face. But this guy and this guy back here, see if I make my circle bigger, that guy back there and that guy back there, very much you can't really make out anything. And because it's in Procreate, it's more pixely than regular. But these two guys, you cannot make out their face at all. And so it leads me to believe that this is kind of a mixture of a narrow and wide depth of field. So I wouldn't, and plus it's street photography, so there's not really any intention behind the narrow and then the depth of field. So it makes sense for it to be kind of just in the middle there. As for contrast, I feel like contrast plays a big role in any sort of street photography, but specifically this one, because we see a lot of dark. Let me change the color on this. We see a lot of dark whites and what was that? Dark blacks and light whites. Sorry, in all of these guys' outfits, mainly because it's in black and white. But in this guy over here, we can see such a blend of black, and the only way that we can see that his body is there as well because of this, but also because of this little fence right here. We can see that, and that's the only way we can see the difference between him and the fence, which is very interesting. And I find that similarly to happen in this little area here, where these guys' legs get lost in the shapes of the bicycle. And so, yeah, I kind of feel like the contrast is very interesting in this piece. Now let's move on to horizontal and vertical lines. I'm excited about this one because there's a lot going on here. So first we have this beautiful line here. This beautiful vertical line. And we've got this guy who is keeping the vertical line going, in a sense. Even though he's not right on it, he's keeping the vertical line going. And then we've got this vertical line that often gets interrupted by these horizontal lines. And then we've got this horizontal line with the guy and the diagonals. And it keeps getting interrupted too. But this line here also keeps getting interrupted by other lines here. And I feel like these spikes give a very, very horizontal line. And then we're talking about the people too. Another interesting thing that I found was this guy's face and this guy's face and this guy's face are all faced the same way, creating kind of like a focal point facing this way, which I found very interesting. But yeah, I think this guy is a very good horizontal line, and I think because of the texture that this floor or wall or whatever you want to call it brings, it brings a good sense of motion through this picture. And then we've got the numbers that are very horizontal in our picture, but in reality they would be vertical. So I find those very interesting as well. And then we've got these ones back here that are horizontal and vertical. But if we move on to use of rectangles and use of circles, we've got the obvious ones, which are these bicycles. The obvious circles are the bicycles. And then we've got one back here that's a circle. And we've got, of course, the faces that are circles. But I think this guy makes a very good, rectangular shape, or like a trapezoid type shape. And I think that's very interesting as well. And then we've got these guys right here that are rectangle. But I feel as if the bikes are the ones that we are going to notice the most, because they make the full circles, and they're what your eyes focus on straight to. So things I found interesting about this piece were that the location of this piece was used to round up Jews for the Holocaust. And I found it interesting that this place still, offered to do racing, like not even 15 years after the Holocaust or after they did the roundup, So I found that very interesting about that. And I wonder if Henri was trying to convey that through the exhaustion and kind of emotionlessness in these individuals' faces. But yeah, thank you.